Anyway.
It's the Drizzy and Morgan show.
Gem.
Yes.
Talk to me. Tell me about this story, about that particular record.
So, if anyone has followed my journey, one of the first kind of songs that I released, this is like 23 years ago now, was a kind of garage 4/4 song called So Messy.
Yeah.
Which was written about just how sometimes London and the club scene could be, even though it was fun, it could be a bit stush and screwing and whatever.
In fact.
So that's kind of what Messy was about. Like, it's just messy. Like, you go out. Second verse was ironically like man trying to draw you in the rave, but in a negative way. So
Second verse was
he's
about
bad.
you.
I've got you. Don't worry.
you.
I've got you. But anyway, so moving along after I signed to Polydor, we went to America. And we was recording, hence the track that you just played. So we'd sampled the DJ Premier Guru, that song there.
It's a tune.
It is.
Such a tune.
And we went to Philly and we went to meet them. So we played it to them. They loved it. They gave the okay. And then they gave us tickets to their concert. So that was like a really big deal for me anyway. And that whole time, that era, it was crazy, right? Because I couldn't believe that this like young girl that's come from like Camden was sitting in rooms with these type of people. I'm so grateful, right, that my journey has done that, but I don't feel like I was even ready to understand.
To embrace it like the way
insane.
How did you even get to that position? What inspired you to become a recording artist? And what was the transition from just you being a young girl and then actually finding yourself in these rooms? What was the transition?
So as a little one, I always was good at writing poems. So I just love writing poems. And then it become like, I don't want to say like therapy as a kid, because I wasn't doing it for that, but I would write about things that would upset me. So it could be like a friend, or I like this boy, he didn't like me back. So it just become like a little
journaling.
Yeah. You know, but more, rather than a diary, it was more like poems and stuff. And I come from, my mum's dad used to have house parties all the time, like halls, big, sound systems and everything.
Wow.
So
Okay.
My dad had a wife before, so I had stepbrothers and sisters. And the music that was in the house was insane. It was like rock and roll to Stax. My mum was very much into Elizabethan reggae and soul and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my brother was into hardcore. My sister's record collection for a non-DJ was
mad.
insane. She's got dub plates that people would pay hundreds of pounds for.
Wow. Older sister, younger sister?
Older sister,
right.
Yeah. So it was, I grew up in such a variety of music.
Yeah.
Probably, for a young, I'll be honest, like a young white girl, I was exposed to a lot more different types of music than, say, most, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
For example, I can make you laugh. I was in primary school, and in my Walkman, people would have like New Kids on the Block or whatever, and I had Black Is My Colour.
Okay,
but that's what I was listening to, so that was normal for me.
So it's very diverse then in your household.
100%, yeah. So I just loved music, and with the poems, so I just sort of started, singing around, and then we got cable.
Right, yeah, I remember.
And there was things like Yo MTV Raps, and we only had like Pirates and stuff, right? So we'd listen to them Cool FMs or whatever. Tim Westwood was a big deal back then.
Your bedroom.
So we you couldn't really buy so much like tunes, or you could buy records, I suppose, but you'd put like your stereo, I used to, on the telly.
Facts.
And record the songs. So I used to make my own tapes. And then this lady came out and I was like, I love her. And it was Mary J. Blige.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
And I used to love music. Just the whole 411 album. What really like made me fall in love with her is because she was quite a raw vocalist, and she was just like, to hard beats, just doing her thing. And I just fell in love with that. I was never like a singer like a Mariah Carey. I just loved that kind of rawness and expression of, what was in her songs. And I just connected with that. But I used to be a raver as well. So I was raving. I was going to blues dances from like 14, 15, 16, jungle rave. I was really outside. That was my sister's fault.
Right.
But so raving avidly, jungle dances, garage. So my cousin Tony McMahon, his dance was Exposure. So he used to do Coliseum. So the garage thing was very much around in my world. So raving, and then sort of the grime phase started to come in.
Yep.
And I wanted to go studio, and I started going studio really young and just sort of doing little writing sessions. And then as that sort of scene, I guess, grime sort of started, that's when I was like, right, I'm gonna do this. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
We was really outside. We'd make dub plates, we'd be at music house trying to press them and get them played, and we'd go do all different pirate radio, literally booting off doors and climbing to the top of tower blocks. And you know, we was really, really, really outside, selling our tunes out of the car boots, you know. And so I was doing that for a little while, and then I went to the clothes show in Birmingham, and I met Jamie, my old manager, and Sweetie Ivy, and they were like, just come, we're gonna run. Yeah, love Sweetie. And that was kind of the journey. So I just started going to Sweetie's house literally every day. We just vibe and write and create. And then Messy come up, so they said, we're gonna put it out. And I didn't really even understand, because I was still like this whole, like, there's music and then there's the business. I wasn't in the business. I just was like, let's vibe, you know?
How old were you then?
Gosh, probably like 22, 23, something like that.
The prime.
It was so different, because you have to remember, I come from kind of being on road, if you want to say that, and having a young child. I had my daughter really young, so I've come from that kind of world to now this world. It's a shift. Yes. And we can get into that later, like the change in, you know, going from that to sort of business stuff. But they put Messy out. I had no idea kind of what it would do, but it just kind of took its own legs and and blew up. And it was on Pirate, and they sold loads of vinyl. And then next minute, we had all these labels like knocking at the door going, what else have you got? And I was like, wow, is this actually happening?
Right.
Was that pressure though? Like, because I feel like with some artists, they may have 2 or 3 steps planned ahead. Like, you know, a producer produces a bunch of beats. So they might give you beat A, but beat A is like a selection of from A to Z of beats. So he's always got another one in the top just ready.
Yeah, we had a collection. So by the time they were coming round, we had like a whole heap of songs to play of all different styles and stuff like that. So when they come, there was different conversations with Polydor, with Virgin, a few others. I think Virgin offered, if that makes sense. So for me, I was young and I was like, oh, maybe that could be the best one, just thinking money-wise.
Yeah, they outbidded them,
but eventually we went with P Records, Polydor, because they saw the vision, which was my sort of, I guess, I'm inspired by a lot of music, right? But Mary really stuck in my head on like that whole, you know, vibe for me, just raw, hard beats and just emotive, if anything.
That's dope. That's dope.
So I signed with Polydor, and then that was kind of the start of the journey, to be honest.
That's crazy. So you're saying basically you kind of organically got into it with no real thought of, okay, this is where I want to go direction-wise, and just things started just happening.
Do you know what? I wouldn't even say it was that. I made it happen because I was everywhere. Right. I would be in the dances. I'd be on radio. I'd be about. Do you know what I mean?
So that was intentional.
Yeah. Because especially as a girl in that scene, you know, there's not many of us. Especially at that time, I was probably one of the first. Obviously, there's people who've come along after, but at that time, you didn't get heard. I mean, there'd be times that, I'd be on Sidewinder with like Wiley Roll Deep and everyone, and you have to fight for the mic, literally. So I used to spit a few bars just to bustle my way in to get on, and then I might do a little sing, you know. But it was not easy. It was not easy at all, you know.
No, that's beautiful.
So it was definitely a hustle. It didn't just come like that.
When I was growing up, and obviously me being in the scene as well, me just being around, like, you stood out straight away. And I felt like your trajectory was just going to be the inevitable, because you had the machine behind you, which was great. And then I saw the videos, the music videos was clean. Like your videos were like already budgeted. You know, like when I put my video out, we was just trying to like that, bruv, borrow me 20 quid, you know, like that, and just put something out where you was just clean. It was like, raw. Okay, this is a real artist from the ends doing her thing. And no, it was really good, like seeing that, watching that. Do you know what I mean?
You know what though? So your album drops, right? And so here's my question. maybe you're taking it in now because you said at the time when you're sitting with the premiers and gurus that you didn't really fully embrace what was happening. Mm-hmm. So maybe this leads into this. You had 2/3 a Dipset on your album. Mm-hmm. You had Jim Jones,
mad,
and Santana.
Mad.
All that was missing was Killer Cam. Mm-hmm. Was that on purpose? Was that the label saying that, hey?
No, so all of that was intentional because, again, my music knowledge was probably a lot more advanced, even than the label at the time, I would say, right? So for me, I knew who these people were. Yeah. So like MC Light, grew up on her, right? So, you know, Chucky Thompson, who produced a lot of the tracks. He was Bad Boy. He did the Mary J. Blige album, you know, Faith and Biggie and everyone. Midi Mafia, who done some of the tracks, 50 Cent, you know. So it was mad, but this is where it's interesting, right? So we knew what we wanted to do, right? We was like, right, we're going to do like sort of gritty kind of R&B. You know, I'm not a vocalist in a sense like polished like Mariah. I'm just going to do vibes and whatever's created. So we did that. We went to New York. We worked with Chucky. We worked with Rob Reef Tulo. And we had these artists on. So to us, this was normal. And one of the things I always was really adamant about is that if I do a song with somebody, I don't really care who it is, they have to be in the video because I'm not going to dance through their bit because that is so whack, right? So that's used to happen quite a bit, right? So I was like, that's not going to run. So by the time we'd got the album kind of finished, just at the last hurdle, as we were going to put Girlfriend out, they were like, it's a little bit too hard for the market. Right. People don't know who MC Light is, so we're not
in the UK.
Right. So we were just so confused. So the vision I had for the video was supposed to be a bit like the Ashanti. I can't remember the name of the song where there's like domestic violence going on. I can't remember the name of the song.
Isn't it Foolish? It's Foolish. No?
When he's I think one of those. So I wanted a style video like that, quite emotive but really clean. That's not really what I got, but we'll move on from that. Anyways, so, you know, and then it was like, no, we're not going to get MC Light because no one don't know who she is. So I was just like, huh? Yeah. This is why I've signed here because I thought you saw the vision, right? Yep. So cool, we'll let that one slide and we'll move on to the next. So then we've got Jim Jones on Messy, we've got Jill Santana on God, and I thought this is going to be a good one, right? Yeah. So then they said, right, a little bit too hard again. No one don't know who Jules Santana is. So we need to water it down and we'll put J2K on it because I was already doing stuff with Jay, right? So don't get me wrong, me and Jay's mix was good.
That's one of my favourite songs of the album. You know?
Really?
Yeah. That's one of my favourite songs. Yeah.
So we had fun, like, you know, doing our sort of features and touring. So I was really frustrated at this point.
Because at the end of the day, Joel Santana, this is before
timeline wise. Did Dipset bust yet?
No,
I think it was just at the time. Bro. Dipset, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, as a record label, I'd be like, hello, Mrs. Fox. We're not gonna admit we were wrong. However, what we're gonna do is scrap your plans and put in that.
So I think if it had done, I mean, maybe. Well, I think. And other people think too, I was before my time, right? But it's all good because if it opens doors for others, I'm all about that, right? But at the time for me, it's like, this isn't my vision. This is going another way. And Jim Jones was pissed, right? So he was like, he wanted to do the video. He was like, no, I'm going to do it. And they wouldn't even allow that. Wow. So we done the video anyways, which was cool. We done the J2K version. Yeah. And as back in the days, you used to kind of do like a 6-week promo, vinyl would go out and everything. That didn't happen. So at this point, I'm super, super pissed. And I can't remember if my album came out. I didn't even know my album was coming out. Someone called me. Oh no, I've got to go backwards actually. Let me just reverse straight back to Girlfriend's Story. So first single, big deal, entrance to the world. There was no like iTunes or anything like that then. So it was all like records or CDs. So everyone was saying, it's sold out in all the HMVs. You're going to have a good chart position. Everyone across London was sold out. We thought we were going to do well. Yeah. It charted at 38. When we found out they hadn't stocked the shops with enough CDs and vinyl for us to do any better.
What?
So we were capped at basically that.
So it's limited to what was on display then. Once that's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. So that was that. So
what is that due to budgeting or what? What was
I
that?
wouldn't think so because our record deal was just under £500,000.
Well, this is what I'm saying. That's
just
crazy.
saying.
Isn't things like that? I'm not involved in that contract wise, but aren't things like that in contracts?
I don't think that's a
Not
contract thing. That's just a
really.
record company thing. You have to supply on
Right,
demand.
but the only reason I'm saying this is because when they don't, are we allowed to go, actually, it says on my contract, so now I'm going to sue you. But in that industry,
To be honest, I don't know if that kind of
contracts?
phase was in there, that kind of thing. But I mean, them contracts themselves are insane. I spent like £7,000 just for someone
try
to
and
look at
figure
the
out how to do
contract.
it.
Do you know what I
that's
mean? I
crazy.
don't know. Probably to this day, I don't even know what I
got
signed.
bumped on my one. I got bumped on
Yeah,
my contract.
I mean, I think we all have.
I think that's
in,
what's
you know?
the sad thing. I think every artist I speak to, the record label never sees the same vision as the artist. It's always something.
They're running a
negative.
business.
Yeah, that's the difference, you know. So that was like big, massive red flag.
Yeah, of course.
Then the changing in the style. Then we've gone, and then when that happened, we've gone. I was like, now I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
So I basically called up and was like, look, you're failing me publicly. If I fail because I've done everything that I can hold that and own it and be like, look, people ain't into it, that's cool, but you're not going to fail me. So I said, I would like to leave. And they were like, well, if you want to go.
You was on that. Okay.
So they turned around and said, we'll have a meeting and we'll come back to you. They did. And they said, if you want to stay, you can stay. If you want to go, you want to go. And I said, well, I'm going to go. And that was it. So I got all my masters back. I got absolutely everything back. Because if I'm going to do something and fail, I'd rather fail knowing that I've done everything I can.
Yeah.
Not because you're pushing a version of what's not really happening. You know, and although I'm wearing a tracksuit today because it's a Sunday and it's a chill
and it's
vibe,
a vibe day.
they tried to make me wear that kind of stuff and I wasn't that person. So